Okay, this video is called What is Your Health IQ? And so I draw this IQ normal distribution bell curve here to show you that this is most Americans. They're totally ignorant. They eat the standard American diet, sad diet, or a lot of them are messing around with some version of paleo, carnivore, low carb, all this nonsense. The average ignorant person I talk to usually says something to me like, I eat pretty healthy, a lot of chicken and fish, things like that, olive oil. It's all stupid. Okay, and then you say, what about doctors? Well, we've joked before that if you go to the zookeeper knows what their animal's supposed to eat, but doctors do not know what people are supposed to eat. You go to the Ivy League school, the most famous medical schools in the United States, in the world, and they almost always say Mediterranean diet or something. It's so stupid. The Mediterranean diet, I've talked about that in other lectures, it's just completely stupid. It allows meat, it allows olive oil, other high-fat foods, and alcohol. It's just stupid, okay? It's what people say when they want to sound like they know what they're talking about, but they really don't know what they're talking about. So, and because of that, doctors don't age that well. I know tons of doctors. I talk to them every day, and I can tell you most of them do not age well. I'm aging better than all the doctors I know. I'm about 60 years old, okay? So what I'm saying is, the doctors tend to be Mediterranean. Sometimes they'll call them a lacto-ovo, pesco-vegetarian, something like that. But they still tend to end up with significant coronary artery atherosclerosis, hypertension, all these problems, okay? And then they ask me for help with their medical problems and with their family's medical problems. And I can tell you most of them are in this category. So they basically end up about 10 years better off than the public, maybe 15 years, okay? But what I'm going to tell you is the so-called, I call them the health aristocrats, the top 1% or smaller than 1%. The low-fat, low-sodium, whole food, vegans, organic only, etc. That's a really small percentage of the population. Maybe it's 1 in 1,000, but they're like the blue zone, healthy people. Their Johnson keeps working a lot longer. They're skinny. They're better looking. Their cognitive function is more likely to be intact. So that's the group you want to be in. So, there's nothing wrong. A lot of people, they've got like what I would call this mediocre mentality. They want to fit in. They want to be like everybody else. I'm the opposite. I want to be the best at whatever I care about. I want to be as good as I can be at that. And you should feel the same way about your health. This will make you more good looking because you'll stay thinner. You'll have that better blood flow to your skin. You get that glow of vitality and youth. Why not be as healthy as you could be? So anyways, just real quick to show you the different diet patterns. Here's the standard American diet, real high in fat. They get tons of atherosclerosis. Most common cause of death, myocardial infarction. Very high rates of cancer and impotence. Because fat causes tissue to be ischemic. We talked about that in plenty of other lectures. Lack of blood supply to the tissues. And ischemia puts the tissues at risk for Warburg effect of hypoxia-induced transformation to become like an anaerobic bacteria. That's the Warburg effect. Okay, anyways, East Asian, like, Japan, Korea, China, what tended to get them in trouble, they used to be quite healthy in the past when they used to eat a rice-based diet, which is very low in fat and plant-based, but they eat tons of sodium, and they would get a lot of hypertension from the sodium, and that would predispose them to a lot of strokes. But they would also compensate in the sense they ate a lot of fruits and vegetables. So they used to be some of the healthiest people in the world. Like Okinawa, for example, is sort of, on the southern tip of Japan. Okay, now what about the South Asian population? That's more like India. India population, on the one hand, when you first meet people from India, they seem remarkably healthy. Most of them are thin. They'll tell you they're vegetarian, and I always thought they were. But then what I've learned over the years is a lot of them got significant health problems with coronary artery disease and diabetes. And I think Tetsumori Yamashima, that Japanese neuroscientist, is correct that the omega-6 cooking oils lead to lipid peroxidation, and that can be directly toxic to the pancreas. And that's why I think I see some of Indian persons who are diabetic, but they're skinny. Because usually you think of an adult diabetic in America, you think of a type 2 diabetic, they tend to be fat. And I think what's happening is they're getting sort of like almost a delayed type 1 diabetes from beta cell in the pancreas injury due to the lipid peroxidation related to the omega-6 cooking oils, which undergo lipid peroxidation. Then they form the toxic aldehydes like hydroxynonenal. I gave completely separate lectures about Asian atherosclerosis and whatnot. But I'm just making the point. The way to win the game, look at this, low-fat, low-sodium vegan. They have zero oil, with zero oil. they don't get diabetes. They don't get hypertension. They don't get coronary artery disease. Their Johnson's much more likely to work well into old age. Okay, they have a much lower incidence of cancer, much lower incidence of stroke. Why wouldn't you want that? It's the best. That's why I do it. Okay, so what's your health IQ? Now we're getting into some more advanced stuff. The vegan community is pretty good on nutrition, pretty good on epidemiology, pretty good on exercise. They're okay with sunshine. You want to get your sunshine too for vitamin D, nitric oxide, and other things. They're weak though on toxins. Okay, so I've given a whole bunch of lectures about this stuff. And the other thing too, this other topic too, we've talked about EMF. That's relevant. We're not going to get into that right now, but I'm just showing you there's a lot to learn. But you could do it all for free. Just watch videos on the internet. You can learn all this stuff. You can make your own little presentation. Just hit the print screen button, and you could save a slide if you want it to remember that for later. Okay, the Holy Grail of health, all this stuff we talked about, and what I'm getting at was all the knights of King Arthur's Round Table wanted to find the Holy Grail, which has the secret healing power, can heal any disease. Okay, but only one of them found it. And that was Sir Galahad the Good, because he had kept himself pure. And the reason what I'm saying this is, when you follow like the optimal diet and health stuff, you're going to be an outlier compared to your family, your friends, your peers, your coworkers, whatever. And so just accept it. That's part of being great. And I like the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote over here, to be great is to be misunderstood. Initially they're going to think you're strange and they're going to tease you, they're going to joke about it, but over time you're going to age better than them, you're going to have more energy, more vitality, and they're going to start wanting to go your way. But that might take a long time. Like in my family, I would say it probably took about 10, 15 years. And then I just keep, they'd make fun of me a lot in the past, but I just keep aging better than everybody else. I can outthink them, outrun them, out-exercise them. It's not even close, okay? It's just obvious, okay? All my high-fat eating relatives, they're all sick. They're all overweight. So, anyways, that's how the game works. Hope that's helpful to you.